One fact about every Super Bowl. 1967 Super Bowl I, Green Bay Packers versus Kansas City Chiefs. Aside for this being the first Super Bowl ever as the Packers beat the Chiefs 35-10, it's also the first Super Bowl that was televised on both NBC and CBS as both networks had the rights to televise this game. 1968 Super Bowl II, Green Bay Packers beat the Oakland Raiders 33-14. This made the Packers the second team to win 3 championship games in a row, as prior to Super Bowl I, they were NFL champions. And if you're wondering who was the first NFL team to win 3 NFL championships in a row before the Super Bowl, that's also the Green Bay Packers when they did it from 1929 to 1931. 1969, nice, Super Bowl III. The New York Jets beat the Colts 16-7. If the AFC/NFC format stays the way it is, this specific Super Bowl match can never happen again as both teams are now AFC teams. 1970 Super Bowl IV, the Chiefs beat the Vikings 23-7. This is the first Super Bowl played without the standard week off after the conference championship games. 1971 Super Bowl V, the Colts beat the Cowboys 16-13. This Super Bowl is infamously nicknamed the Blunder Bowl, Blooper Bowl, or Stupor Bowl. This is because this game has a combined 11 turnovers among both teams. 5 of those turnovers happened in the fourth quarter alone. Also, Chuck Howley won Super Bowl MVP on the losing team. The only one to do it, kind of like how Jerry West is the only losing Finals MVP for the NBA. 1972 Super Bowl VI, the Cowboys beat the Dolphins 24-3. The Cowboys prevent their opponent from scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl. The Dolphins only scored a 3-point field goal in this game. They got 0 touchdowns. 1973 Super Bowl VII, the Dolphins beat the Redskins 14-7. When the Dolphins won this game, they became the first and only team so far to complete a perfect undefeated season. 1974 Super Bowl VIII, the Dolphins beat the Vikings 24-7. This was the first Super Bowl in which 30-second commercials surpassed $100,000 in cost to air nationally. For reference, airing commercials during Super Bowl I only costed $42,000 to air nationally. This is more than double the price. 1975 Super Bowl IX, the Steelers beat the Vikings 16-6. This was a defensive super show for the Steelers as they held the Vikings to Super Bowl lows of just 9 first downs and 17 rushing yards. Minnesota only scored once on a blocked punt return and missed the extra point. 1976 Super Bowl X, the Steelers beat the Cowboys 21-17. Glenn Edwards caught 4 passes and had a Super Bowl record of 161 receiving yards. He even got a touchdown. This allowed him to become the first wide receiver to win Super Bowl MVP. 1977 Super Bowl XI, the Raiders beat the Vikings 32-14. The Raiders were the first original AFL team to win a Super Bowl in the post-merger era. 1978 Super Bowl XII, the Cowboys beat the Broncos 27-10. Defensive tackle Randy White and defensive end Harvey Martin both won Super Bowl MVP, making it the only Super Bowl where 2 players won the MVP and the first time a defensive lineman won MVP. 1979 Super Bowl XIII, the Steelers beat the Cowboys 35-31. This was the first ever Super Bowl rematch between 2 teams who faced off in the past. The Dallas Cowboys are still the only Super Bowl team to score more than 30 points in a Super Bowl, yet still lose the game. They did score 31, but it wasn't enough as the Steelers got 35. 1980 Super Bowl XIV, the Steelers beat the Los Angeles Rams 31-19. The Rams had a record of 9-7, making them the first team to ever make the Super Bowl with just 9 wins during the 16-game era. 1981 Super Bowl XV, the Raiders beat the Eagles 27-10. The Raiders are the first wild card team to win the Super Bowl. 1982 Super Bowl XVI, the 49ers beat the Bengals 26-21. This Super Bowl took place in Detroit, the first Super Bowl played in a cold weather state, though it was played in a dome, so the game itself didn't have any issues, but there was weather-related traffic outside the game. 1983 Super Bowl XVII, the Redskins beat the Dolphins 27-17. This was the player strike season, so teams only played 9 regular season games. The Redskins finished 8-1 and the Dolphins finished 7-2. 1984 Super Bowl XVIII, the Raiders beat the Redskins 38-9. This Super Bowl hosted the infamous 1984 Super Bowl commercial that introduced the OG Apple Macintosh computer. 1985 Super Bowl XIX, the 49ers beat the Dolphins 38-16. This Super Bowl was not only the first Super Bowl hosted by the ABC network, Ronald Reagan held a televised coin toss from the White House. This marked the first time a sitting U.S. president participated in a Super Bowl coin toss. 1986 Super Bowl XX, the Bears beat the Patriots 46-10. The market share cost of a nationally televised 30-second commercial cost $550,000 during this Super Bowl. Also, to recognize the fact that this was the 20th Super Bowl, the previous Super Bowl MVPs were honored during the pregame ceremonies. Also, believe it or not, Walter Payton was not the Super Bowl MVP of this game. The MVP went to the Bears defensive end Richard Dent, who had 1.5 quarterback sacks, he forced 2 fumbles, and blocked a pass. 1987 Super Bowl 21, the Giants beat the Broncos 39-20. This Super Bowl nationalized the traditional Gatorade shower where the winning team would dump a cooler onto the winning head coach. However, this tradition actually started exclusively among the Giants franchise in 1985 and then caught attention after they won the Super Bowl. 1988 Super Bowl 22, the Redskins beat the Broncos 42-10. Doug Williams won Super Bowl MVP and became the first player in the Super Bowl history to pass for 4 touchdowns in a single quarter. He's also the first African-American starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl. 1989 Super Bowl 23, the 49ers beat the Bengals 20-16. This was the final NFL game coached by 49ers Bill Walsh and the final game that Pete Rozelle was NFL commissioner of. 1990 Super Bowl 24, the 49ers beat the Broncos 55-10. As you can tell from the score, this Super Bowl had the most points scored by a single team, with the 49ers grabbing 55 points. It's also the largest margin of victory with a 45-point win. 1991 Super Bowl 25, the Giants beat the Bills 20-19. For Bills fans, this was the beginning of heartache, as soon to come is 3 more Super Bowl losses for a total of 4 straight. This one is especially painful because they could have won this game if Scott Norwood's last-second missed field goal actually went through and scored. It's the only Super Bowl decided by 1 point and the first where neither team committed a turnover. 1992 Super Bowl 26, the Redskins beat the Bills 37-24. This game took place in the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The Metrodome also hosted the 1992 NCAA Basketball Final Four, making it the only stadium to host both events in the same calendar year. They also hosted the 1991 World Series a year prior. 1993 Super Bowl 27, the Cowboys beat the Bills 52-17. While the Bills lost horribly, especially 3 Super Bowls in a row, at least both teams scored for a combined 69 nice amount of points. 1994 Super Bowl 28, the Cowboys beat the Bills 30-13. Not only is this a rematch, but it's also the only time the same 2 teams have met in consecutive Super Bowls in a row. 1995 Super Bowl 29, the 49ers beat the Chargers 49-26. The 49ers scored 49 points. This is the most points scored between both teams, with a total of 75 for a Super Bowl. And it's the first Super Bowl in which both teams scored in all 4 quarters. This is also the first Super Bowl which 30-second commercials costed over $1 million to air nationally. 1996 Super Bowl 30, the Cowboys beat the Steelers 27-17. The Dallas Cowboys became the first team in NFL history to win 3 Super Bowls in a 4-year period. 1997 Super Bowl 31, the Packers beat the Patriots. 1998 Super Bowl 32, the Broncos beat the Packers 31-24. Terrell Davis was the Super Bowl MVP. This is the latest running back Super Bowl MVP as of this recording. It's been roughly 25 years since we saw a running back Super Bowl MVP. 1999 Super Bowl 33, the Broncos beat the Falcons 34-19. Fox aired the first pilot episode of Family Guy after this Super Bowl, that episode being Death Has a Shadow. This is the Family Guy Super Bowl from now on. 2000 Super Bowl 34, the Rams beat the Titans 23-16. This Super Bowl has the nickname .com Super Bowl, as most of the commercials during this game were from early 2000s websites .com companies. The price for a nationally televised commercial in the Super Bowl was $1.9 million. Kurt Warner also won MVP, being the first undrafted Super Bowl MVP. 2001 Super Bowl 35. Super Bowl 35 is the only Super Bowl in history to have back-to-back kickoff return touchdowns. This happened in the 3rd quarter. New York had a 97-yard kickoff return, and they thought this would finally spark the team to turn things around and turn the tide, but immediately it was responded by the Ravens' own 84-yard kickoff return touchdown, thanks to Jermaine Lewis. 2002 Super Bowl 36, the Patriots beat the Rams 20-17. This was not only Tom Brady's first Super Bowl, it was the Patriots' first Super Bowl win and the first Super Bowl to be played in February. It was originally going to be played on January 27th, but got rescheduled because the whole season was postponed because of 9/11. 2003 Super Bowl 37, the Buccaneers beat the Raiders 48-21. Both teams combined for 69 nice points, and while the previous Super Bowl was the first to be played in February, this Super Bowl is the last to be played in January, as it took place on January 26th. From this point on, all Super Bowls have been played in February. This was also the first Super Bowl in which the league's #1 ranked offense, being the Raiders, faced the league's #1 ranked defense, being the Buccaneers. Of course, defense beat offense, and the Buccaneers also had a great offense as they more than doubled their opponent in scoring. Super Bowl commercials even passed $2 million in cost to air nationally for this Super Bowl. 2004 Super Bowl 38, the Patriots beat the Panthers 32-29. I'm going to try to keep this fact as PG as possible because, to be honest, there's no way to beat around the bush as the halftime show for this game is referred to as Nipplegate. This is because at the end of the halftime performance, Justin Timberlake tore off Janet Jackson's clothes, and well, you can put two to two together. 2005 Super Bowl 39, the Patriots beat the Eagles 24-21. In going off last year's fact, the league selected Paul McCartney to perform during this halftime show to avoid any controversies. So no, you will not see a Paul McCartney nip slip, sorry. 2006 Super Bowl 40, the extra large Super Bowl where the Steelers beat the Seahawks 21-10. This was the first Super Bowl where every commercial and even the game itself was broadcasted in full HD. Commercials costed $2.5 million for 30 seconds to air nationally, and the field was played on newer field turf surface. Previous games had either natural grass or AstroTurf. 2007 Super Bowl 41, the Colts beat the Bears 29-17. While Prince started singing Purple Rain during this halftime, there was actual rain falling from the sky. This was the first Super Bowl to deal with rain continuously throughout the game. 2008 Super Bowl 42, the Giants beat the Patriots 17-14. This game started slow and then ended in a blast as it was the first Super Bowl game with 3 fourth-quarter lead changes. 2009 Super Bowl 43, the Steelers beat the Cardinals 27-23. Commercials now costed over $3 million, and this is the last Super Bowl to feature John Madden as the commentator. Rest in peace to John Madden. 2010 Super Bowl 44, the Saints beat the Colts 31-17. Not only was this the Saints' first Super Bowl appearance, Super Bowl 44 was the first NFL championship game to surpass the 100 million viewer mark. That's like saying 1 in 3 Americans watched that game. Crazy. 2011 Super Bowl 45, the Packers beat the Steelers 31-25. This was the first Super Bowl with no cheerleaders at the game because neither the 2011 Steelers nor the Packers employed cheerleaders. 2012 Super Bowl 46, the Giants beat the Patriots 21-17. This was the first Super Bowl in which both starting quarterbacks were previous Super Bowl MVPs. Eli Manning, of course, grabbed another one in this game. 2013 Super Bowl 47, the Ravens beat the 49ers 34-31. This was the first to feature two teams with undefeated Super Bowl records before the game started. The Ravens were 1-0 at the time, the 49ers were 5-0. Of course, the Ravens won and snapped that 49ers streak. 2014 Super Bowl 48, the Seahawks beat the Broncos 43-8. The Seahawks became the first Super Bowl team to score on a safety as they did it in just 12 seconds into the game, making it the quickest score in Super Bowl history. 2015 Super Bowl 49, the 49th Super Bowl did not include the 49ers, but it did have the Patriots beating the Seahawks 28-24. This was also the first Super Bowl to be played under LED lighting, and commercials have now surpassed the cost of $4.5 million to air nationally for 30 seconds. 2016 Super Bowl 50, the Broncos beat the Panthers 24-10. In this Super Bowl, Roman numerals are nowhere to be seen. They stuck with the Arabic numerals of 50. I guess they didn't want this to be known as Super Bowl L. It was an L for the Panthers, but a W for the Broncos. 2017 Super Bowl 51, the Patriots beat the Falcons 34-28. Super Bowl commercials surpassed a whopping $5.1 million to cost to air nationally, and Super Bowl 51 was the first to go to overtime. The Pats scored 6 in overtime to claim that W. 2018 Super Bowl 52, the Eagles beat the Patriots 41-33. While the Pats lost, Brady did set a Super Bowl record for the most passing yards in a single Super Bowl with 505 yards. All that yardage, but no win to go along with it. 2019 Super Bowl 53, the Patriots beat the Rams 13-3. This was the lowest scoring Super Bowl in NFL history. Up until the fourth quarter, there were no touchdowns scored. Each team just had one field goal. This was a total defensive grudge match. 2020 Super Bowl 54, the Chiefs beat the 49ers 31-20. And yes, the red team won this match. In fact, it was the first Super Bowl match between two teams with red prominently in their logos. 2021 Super Bowl 55, the Buccaneers beat the Chiefs 31-9. Tom Brady became the oldest player to win Super Bowl MVP, winning it at age 43. 2022 Super Bowl 56, the Rams beat the Bengals 23-20. Since the 1975 seeding format, this was the first Super Bowl where both teams finished outside the top 3 in terms of regular season standings, as they were both 4th seeded teams. Sure, we had lower seeds on one end, but this was the first Super Bowl where both teams were under the top 3. Since the 1975 format, of course. 2023 Super Bowl 57, the Chiefs beat the Eagles 38-35. 30-second commercials costed a whopping $7 million to air nationally, and this was the first time 2 African-American quarterbacks started against each other, Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. 2024 Super Bowl 58, this one didn't happen yet as of this recording, but the match is a rematch between the 49ers and the Chiefs with the road to Vegas. This means this is the first Super Bowl to be held in Las Vegas, and it's the second Super Bowl to be a simulcast where it will be broadcasted on multiple networks and channels. The first time this happened was actually all the way back to Super Bowl I in 1967. Talk about coming full circle. So here was one fact about every Super Bowl. Let me know what your favorite Super Bowl is and who you think is going to win Super Bowl 58. Don't forget to tackle that like button and subscribe with notifications turned on. I'm Touchdown Rewind, and I'll fast forward to you later.